The average person wakes up to an algorithmic feed, works under the hum of fluorescent lights, and streams videos just to get through a workout. Our minds are flooded with continuous, high-speed input. But watch what happens the second that input drops to zero. Within moments of total quiet, people experience a profound, creeping discomfort. For nearly all of human history, silence was the default condition of our environment. Human conversation was intermittent. Forests were free of engines. The nervous system actually evolved to use these long stretches of stillness as a biological reset state, a way for consciousness to recover and reorganize itself. Now we've adapted to the exact opposite. We've developed behavioral extremes, where our brains generate phantom phone vibrations in our pockets, and we require the murmur of a podcast just to fall asleep. To test just how deep this discomfort goes, psychologists placed participants alone in an empty room. No phones, no screens, no distractions of any kind. They were given a simple choice: sit quietly with their own thoughts, or press a button to receive a mild electric shock. A significant portion of the participants actively shocked themselves. They preferred physical pain over enduring 15 minutes of uninterrupted silence. This shift points to a deep alteration in how the modern nervous system processes its environment. Constant digital stimulation has changed our internal threshold for attention and reward. We reach for our phones as an anesthetic, using the digital world's hum to drown out the sound of our own unfiltered consciousness. When you stop focusing on a specific external task, your brain doesn't simply power down. Instead, all that processing power shifts inward. It activates a collection of interconnected regions called the default mode network, or DMN. Think of this as your psychological maintenance engine. It's the system responsible for introspection, consolidating your memories, and building your sense of identity. Historically, the brain operated in alternating waves: high external alertness, followed by a deep trough of cognitive downtime. But today, digital interruptions strike relentlessly, trapping our brains in continuous external engagement, eliminating the gaps required for DMN activation. Without those natural breaks, the nervous system starts to lean on this external stream of data just to maintain its equilibrium. The digital feed becomes structural scaffolding for the mind. Because the maintenance engine receives so little activation time, the brain's baseline shifts. The mere absence of stimulation begins to feel like a biological malfunction. This creates what can be described as psychological friction, the unbearable internal restlessness that floods your body the second external distractions disappear. The discomfort of silence doesn't stem from an absence of activity. Instead, once the noise vanishes, internal processes, unresolved anxieties, intrusive memories, uncompleted emotional processing suddenly become audible. To understand why the brain panics, we have to look at ancient survival mechanics. In a prehistoric environment, an unexpected drop in sensory information usually signaled danger. Silence in the forest often meant a predator was nearby. Modern tech platforms have inadvertently hijacked this exact survival circuitry. We now scan our phones for dopamine updates the same way early humans scanned the tree line for threats. When there are no updates, the body initiates a measurable stress response. Cortisol levels rise. Attention becomes restless. We engage in compulsive checking behaviors, experiencing a sharp spike in anxiety the longer we remain disconnected. We have conditioned our nervous systems to expect constant, immediate reward feedback. This causes the brain to misinterpret a quiet room as a state of environmental instability. This biological shift demands a steep cognitive price. The first casualty is the flow state, the deeply immersive concentration required for peak performance and sustained focus. We also lose the capacity for spontaneous daydreaming. When the subconscious mind is trapped in a reactive loop of responding to external prompts, it loses the free-roaming mental space needed to incubate complex, creative ideas. Throughout history, humanity's greatest intellectual and creative breakthroughs have required this exact state of uninterrupted cognitive wandering. Einstein relied heavily on solitary reflection, allowing his subconscious to recombine information without external interference. Nikola Tesla similarly attributed his imaginative breakthroughs directly to periods of profound, undisturbed stillness. An inability to tolerate silence leaves the mind vulnerable to external control. If you cannot endure your own quiet thoughts, your attention defaults to whichever algorithm captures it first. The biological solution requires lowering the brain's stimulation threshold. We have to treat silence as a skill that must be gradually relearned through small interventions, like taking a walk without headphones or letting yourself sit in brief moments of boredom. Pushing through the initial friction of a quiet room is an act of neurological resistance. It is the first step in reclaiming the